I'm trying to build the world's tallest LEGO zoo, with each floor of this skyscraper uniquely designed for all the different LEGO animals we rescue from danger. So this is a zookeeper minifigure that we're gonna name Steve, and he's made it his life's mission to save as many endangered animals as he can. The first of which is this baby koala named Ozzy, who we rescued from a natural disaster in the Australian outback. But before we can get to that story, let's start building Ozzy's enclosure to put in the first floor of our zoo. His favorite food is eucalyptus leaves, so I added a bunch of them around with a sky blue backdrop, and gave him a little bush to sleep in. Also, if you enjoy this video, I would really appreciate it if you would push that subscribe button. But anyways, during his nap, the poor little guy had a nightmare about the disaster Steve rescued him from. It was just a normal day for this family of koalas. Ozzy was happily climbing about as his mom and dad watched and practiced their aim. Suddenly, they felt something blast through the air, and the leaves began falling upwards. The entire outback had turned upside down, and all the animals started falling as well. Luckily, Steve came prepared with a LEGO commercial. A crocodile has fallen into the sky in Australia. Build the rescue helicopter. Hey! He zoomed in just in time to save Ozzy and some other animals, but Ozzy's parents were just out of reach. He doesn't know if he'll ever see them again, or any of the other outback animals besides this crocodile, dingo, spider, and some custom brick-built versions of a cockatoo, a kangaroo with a little pouch to store her baby, and my favorite, a platypus, a semi-aquatic egg-laying mammal of action. Sorry, wrong color. This is what they're supposed to look like. I used these medium nougat plates to look like authentic Australian dirt. Then made this dividing wall with a window built in to keep the water animals on this side. We're just gonna pretend that none of these guys would eat each other, but to keep them from eating the guests, I found a bunch of these chain link fence pieces to keep them securely inside. I don't think I'll have enough of these for every floor, but it gives a narrow little walkway space here for visitors to see the animals from. And I definitely don't have enough to give them a safety railing. They'll be fine. I printed out these cool little signs for this and future enclosures, and I know these animals are all pretty cramped in here, but we don't have a lot of space for this zoo to fit in my LEGO city called 24ville. Whatever is causing these natural disasters has also rendered all these plots of land unusable. And this is all we have left to work with. So instead of building outwards, I'll need to build upwards. This ladder will help Steve get up to floor 2, where he got an alert about the next natural disaster. He's gonna need to call an old friend to get there in time, because we're heading to the Arctic, home to Lucille, the baby seal. Oh, she's adorable. No! Extreme cold has caused the animals to freeze into the ice.
This one's kind of cool, though.
Steve and Santa rescued as many as they could fit in the sleigh, and I built their slightly less cold enclosure using a bunch of white sloped pieces as snow, and these LEGO snowflakes on the wall. We've got another pool of water for this polar bear to chill in, alongside Mr. Narwhal from Elf.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
I gave a little slide to these penguins, who are making me super nostalgic for Club Penguin, and made this brick-built walrus that has chair pieces for flippers and a croissant for a nose. They were even able to thaw out Lucille, finishing up this super cool enclosure. Pun not intended. This is Steve's sister Robin, who's apparently in LEGO Fortnite now, but her pet toucan Sam sensed a disturbance in the jungle. You know what that means. Jungles get a lot of rain, but I think this is too much. Let's grab what we can and get the heck out of this monsoon. I feel bad now because cats hate getting wet. You know, their fur gets all gloppy. And this puma is the first of many cats going in the zoo. We've also got parrots perched in this canopy of leaves, baby pandas eating bamboo, this chameleon that can change colors, and a lot of primates, including monkeys, chimps, orangutans, and a gorilla? I don't think there's room for that one. But I also built these custom lemurs. Are you on Team Julian or Team Zaboomafoo? There is a right answer here. Anyways, I stretched this bendy vine piece across the back wall for them to swing through and grab bananas. I wanted to add some tiny trees for them to climb too, but I'm actually thinking of decorating the outside of the zoo as one giant tree. Adding roots, bark, branches, and leaves on this thing would help it feel a lot more natural. And it's even going in the same spot Morgan Treeman once stood. Now that is poetic. But we'll leave that for later. For now, Steve needs to move it to the next natural disaster. A surprising amount of animals live in caves, but they're in for a shock because that strange blast started a massive cave-in. It's a good thing Steve came prepared with this power miners vehicle called the Thunder Driller. When these wheels turn, the drill spins as well. And we can use this super satisfying mechanism to clear away rubble and rescue all the subterranean species. I will fix that later. For now, we can create a fitting environment to relocate the animals to, with stalactites on the ground and stalagmites on the ceiling, amongst all these bats up there too. This one rock kind of looks like a koala, and Steve still feels horrible that he wasn't able to save Ozzy's parents. You know what? He spent his entire month's paycheck ordering something that just might make things right, but it'll take some time to get here. I also added in 3 different colors of Minecraft axolotls, which you can find in the game's lush caves. Actually, a little greenery like that would really help liven up this enclosure. And at this point, I've already run out of fences, so we're gonna have to resort to using these jail bar pieces instead. I know it's not a great look, but the animals like it, probably. And I couldn't resist putting some rock monsters in here as well. Like, these guys can swallow an entire stick of dynamite. How can you not love them? Oh, thanks, bro. I'll quickly feed them dessert while Steve heads to the desert in his land speeder. You know, this set is pretty neat. I wish LEGO would make more of them. But this time, the natural disaster is a sandstorm. It's coarse, rough, and irritating, and it gets everywhere. We gotta save the animals from it. Well, Steve is gonna be finding sand in his various orifices for weeks, but we can actually use it to fill up the enclosure with all sorts of textured pieces. I added some dead bushes and cacti, as you do, and seeing as it's Wednesday, let's also bring in these LEGO camels, who actually eat cactus. Side note, but has anyone ever tried camel milk? It is the most revolting thing I've ever consumed. Literally made me want to stick my head in the sand, like these ostriches. Another fun molten animal you can ride on to avoid the snakes and scorpions on the ground below. I guess roadrunners and coyotes live in the desert too, but I don't know. At that point, I might as well add the Tasmanian devil to the outback enclosure. We'll leave them out for now. Wait, did you hear that? A tree fell in the forest. So that's where we're heading to next, in this snazzy hot air balloon. The air kept getting hotter though, because what's normally a tranquil, cozy woods was now engulfed in flames. It's just like that forest fire scene from Bambi. R.I.P. Bambi's mom, but thankfully Steve is at least able to save Bambi and some other critters to take back home to the 6th floor, which I decorated with a starry night sky and miniature pine trees to hopefully give it a different vibe than the jungle. But all these trees are really making me want to start detailing the outside wall. I used these tall slopes and tentacle pieces for the roots at the base of the tree, and connected plates to the side of the wall using snot bricks to add some much needed texture. It also gives me more places to put some of these woodland creatures. Like, we don't need all the owls in the enclosure together. A few of them could go on the outside branches instead, making the whole zoo feel so much more alive. We've also got a good American bald eagle and a turkey. Nope, or not. Plus lots of rodents for some reason, including mice, squirrels, chipmunks, rabbits, and a skunk. Okay, this guy needs his own smell-proof section. Imagine having to give a tomato soup bath to a bear. That would not go well. But this half of the enclosure seems like the perfect setting for Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, or whatever they're calling it these days. But I'm excited for the 7th floor because there's not even a natural disaster Steve has to deal with this time. He just asked Garrett's dad, old farmer Gary, to borrow a couple of his livestock for a petting zoo enclosure. All he has to do is drive this little tractor right on down to the... Oh no. Gary's farm dog grew to a gigantic size and started crushing the animals. Steve shifted into 2nd gear and weaved through the monstrous legs, rescuing what he could from the well-meaning menace. He's such a good boy though. We'll salvage what we can from the flattened barn to build this backdrop with picket fences you're actually encouraged to enter as you pet the cows, horses, 3 little pigs, 3 littler chickens, the sheep named Sean, cats, and dogs. Hopefully this one stays the same size. I put one of those dispensers on the wall where you can pay to hand feed the animals some corn, and then hand sanitizer to scrub away all the diseases these guys are probably carrying. Steve also hired this guy in a pig costume to take pictures with the kids, as well as 10 other animal mascot figures hidden somewhere in this video. If someone can find them all, the animals will make a disco music video on our 2nd channel, since a lot of these regions were inspired by that one mobile game called Disco Zoo. But suddenly, Steve received a call on his shell phone. You can hear the ocean in it, and they're in trouble. After a quick shelfie, he set sail on this rubber raft to see what he could see, but the water level kept getting lower and lower until the entire ocean dried up. Ignoring any global implications this might have, we gotta save these poor little fishies flopping around like this. So Steve went back to the jungle and filled up a bucket of water for them to breathe in. Obviously, this next floor is going to need to be an aquarium. So instead of fences, which I actually did order more of to replace the jail bars, I'm covering the whole wall with these big glass windows. Using real water would get way too messy, so I combined a bunch of clear blue pieces together for the surface of the fake water. Then all the sea creatures can be suspended in the air by these clear cylinders to make it look like they're swimming, like the stingray, octopus, and dolphins. Once again, I have way more LEGO animals than there's room for, so I think the shark and especially the whale are not gonna fit. I'm so sorry. But we can fill the sandy aquarium floor with all sorts of crabs, clams, starfish, and a little turtle guy I'm naming Squirt. But before we visit the final region, there's something Steve has to do. The super expensive rescue vehicle he ordered finally arrived, and he blasted drifted off in it to find a certain couple of koalas floating around in space. Little Ozzy was overjoyed to see them again, and he wanted to introduce them to all the new friends he's made, all thanks to Steve. And last but not least, we're heading to the African savannah to save some of the most popular animals ever from a blow-test tornado like that one Donkey Kong level. Surprisingly, Steve managed to brave the storm, and even more surprisingly, he was able to fit all those animals in his safari rover. Our zoo doesn't have infinite space like that, however, so I had to make this top floor a few bricks taller than the rest. And even then, that's still not tall enough to fit the giraffe's crazy long neck, but I'll just poke a hole in the ceiling for him to go. I spent over an hour trying to design this mural of a sunrise to use as the backdrop that looks like that scene from The Lion King to go with our male and female lions. And even though it's not part of the zoo, I also built Pride Rock and a Lego Rafiki to recreate that scene. We've got a zebra and a flamingo next to this watering hole, and my personal favorite animal, an elephant, squeezed in here as well with her baby. And with almost all the animals in place, I finished detailing the outside walls, and up near the top I used a bunch of arched pieces as branches that we can cover with a ton of leaves that the giraffe can even reach. But now we can finally place the zoo in our city. Give me a second. Okay, there we go. Now it's all ready to open up to these guests coming from miles around to see all the animals we've rescued in each of their different enclosures, including Garrett, who attempted to sell concessions. He watched Ozzy's family happily reunited and couldn't stop worrying about his own kidnapped son. But suddenly, the robot who took him returned.
I know what's causing the disasters, and I need your help to stop them.
Watch this video to see what happens next, or this one about another skyscraper I built with a working elevator.